For this video, I will provide an overview of the Light Infantry unit type, and list the factions which currently have these units available, then cover some generic strategic applications for squads assigned to Light Infantry units, to include insight about which opposing unit types are of least and greatest threat to the success and win of operations by Light Infantry teams. Historically, Light Infantry have a more mobile or fluid function than other types of infantry, usually as loose formations that fight ahead of the main army to harass, delay, disrupt supply lines, and generally soften up an enemy before the main battle. Post-World War II, the term Light Infantry evolved to include rapid deployment units that emphasize speed and mobility over armor and firepower. Citing squad developers directly, Light Infantry units focus on dismounted infantry combat, lacking access to heavier vehicles like APCs, IFVs, and MBTs. They make up for this with access to specialized ATGM vehicles and getting extra ATGM emplacements on their FOBs. What this means is that light infantry units in squad are specialized to overpower the adversary through direct combat by means of mobile ground forces, but are hindered by a lack of mechanized firepower and armor. The real-world Princess of Wales Royal Regiment of the British Army, nicknamed Tigers, consists of light role infantry battalions specialized in dismounted close combat or fighting on foot. The regiment can trace its lineage back as far as 1572 and has since been engaged in operations in support of the Global War on Terrorism, or GWAT. Currently in squad, there are 8 playable light infantry units, 2 under the Blue 4 Alliance, 3 independent, 2 pack, and 1 red 4. Starting with Blue 4, the first of the light infantry units is the U.S. Army's 1st Brigade Combat Team, 10th Mountain Division, recognized for its exceptional mobility and versatility. Also under the Blue 4 Alliance, the United States Marine Corps' 1st Marines Regimental Combat Team, well equipped for swift maneuverability, operates with agility. Moving on to independent factions, the first unit is the Irregular Militia Forces Irregular Light Infantry, a highly adaptable military force that relies on a mix of unconventional fighters and improvised light attack vehicles. The second independent unit is the Insurgents Irregular Light Infantry, whose composition allows for a diverse range of skills and prioritizes agility and rapid response. Next, the Middle Eastern Alliance's 4th Border Guards, similar to a military police unit, are only equipped with light vehicles. For light infantry units under the Chinese Alliance, the first is the PLA's 149th Mountain Infantry Brigade, which focuses on mountain, light infantry, and urban operations. The final Chinese light infantry unit is the PLA Naval Marine Corps' 4th Marine Special Combat Battalion, designed for high mobility and flexibility and focused on dismounted infantry combat operations. As for the Red 4 Alliance, Russian Ground Forces' 1398th Separate Reconnaissance Battalion, a highly specialized light infantry unit dedicated to reconnaissance and intelligence gathering missions. These units have one major characteristic in common: mobile dismounted combat. The key to the efficacy of operations performed by light infantry units lies within combative aggression by ground forces in direct conjunction with proper utilization of mobility assets. The first major strategy for light infantry units is to effectively utilize the available vehicle assets for their mobility advantages. Using the speed and agility of lighter vehicles, these teams have the ability to outmaneuver the adversary and gain the upper hand of mobility. Though opposing units possess greater firepower and protection capabilities, light infantry units capitalize on their weaknesses by more swiftly repositioning and re-engaging from the enemy's less guarded avenues of approach. This means light infantry units are able to minimize an aggressive assault simply by mobilizing to the opposition's weakest flank. The mobility capabilities of light infantry units enable the team to rapidly deploy reinforcements in support of both offensive and defensive operations, particularly an advantage when friendly HABs are contested or proxied. A hot-dropped squad of 9 infantry personnel can easily overthrow territory controlled by a heavily armored vehicle due to the swiftness of the light vehicle. Finally, the mobility of light infantry units' vehicle assets can be exercised by means of intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, or ISR. Allocating vehicles for scout operations enables the team as a whole to become more situationally aware of the enemy's supply lines and combative advancements. This means proper utilization of light vehicles for ISR purposes, in conjunction with planned ambushes by ground forces, can result in the total disruption of the opposition's support operations and offensive capabilities. The second main strategy for light infantry units is through direct and lethal combat by ground forces. Teams assigned to light infantry units rely heavily on their abilities, not just as squads and fire teams, but as individual infantrymen themselves. Squad and team coordination is integral to the success of any unit, but where the light infantry units thrive is in individual combat effectiveness. Because light infantry units are generally overpowered by units with heavier vehicles, skill and experience in fighting on foot is key. Where opposing units rely on the firepower and protection of heavy vehicles to accomplish missions, light infantry units' success depends on smart decision-making from the boots-on-the-ground level. Grouping the capabilities of multiple seasoned infantrymen together into a single squad results in an aggressive and intimidating force not to be reckoned with. Squads assigned to light infantry units use their individual role specialties to outmaneuver and overpower the adversary. Combining the lethality of competent foot soldiers with the strategy of rapid mobilization is a recipe for dominance. Using the same methodology as a swarm of compy dinosaurs or horde of zombies, light infantry units find great success in surrounding and overwhelming the threat with group agility and personal strength. The third and final major strategy of light infantry units is full utilization of ATGM and tow assets. These units are specialized to be equipped with additional ATGM capabilities, either by FOB emplacements or vehicle-mounted launchers. What this means is light infantry units can make up for their lack of heavy vehicles with discrete maximization of missile fires. The destruction capabilities of a single guided missile mimic the potential of opposing heavy vehicles and can be emplaced at multiple firing positions on a single FOB radio. Alternatively, vehicle-mounted launchers, for which light infantry units have up to 2 available, bring mobile capabilities that greatly enhance the team's combat effectiveness. Combined with the agility of light vehicles, mounted and emplaced ATGM firing positions can be optimized and adapted with the flow of offensive and defensive operations. Overwhelmed and deterred by such fluid ATGM launchers, the enemy is forced to maneuver suboptimal routes, for which light infantry units can quickly set ambushes. Keeping these strategies in mind, light infantry units pose the greatest threat to air assault and support units. Both of these opposing units lack access to heavier vehicles that offer greater protection, which means light infantry units, utilizing the full potential of available ATGM capabilities, have more than enough firepower to destroy the enemy's critical assets. Though air assault and support units have extra ATGM emplacement capabilities themselves, light infantry units have the advantage of vehicle-mounted launchers, which greatly outweighs the potential of stationary emplacements. Furthermore, the speed and agility of vehicles with mounted launchers means light infantry units can quickly get into ideal positioning to ambush and rival enemy emplacements. Though air assault units surpass light infantry units in terms of overall speed, helicopters are highly vulnerable to ATGMs, and it's with vehicle-mounted launchers in particular that give light infantry units the upper hand. Finally, support units' unique specialty of seeing enemy vehicle spawn timers is rendered less useful against light infantry units since their strength is in dismounted ground combat and don't rely heavily on their vehicle availability to accomplish missions. Where light infantry units suffer is when facing armored and mechanized units. Though light infantry units surpass these units in overall speed, the destructive capabilities of multiple armored or mechanized assets working in tandem will overpower the swiftness of light vehicles. Full utilization of rapid lightly armored troop deployment and multiple ATGM firing positions is still considered the weaker force overall when considering the monumental destruction potential of multiple main battle tanks or mechanized armor. Not only will light infantry units face the resilient threat of heavily armored vehicles, they will have to surpass the strength of mechanized infantry squads on the ground as well. In conclusion, light infantry units in squad possess mobility and ATGM advantages without the benefits of armored protection. The highly skilled ground infantry forces, backed by agile light vehicles and vehicle-mounted missile launchers, will easily outmaneuver rival units. However, light infantry units will fail if they find themselves overwhelmed by heavily armored vehicles.